Hey guys, Frightener22 here with another segment of At the Movies. Today I actually just came home from taking Woodstock, and I just want to do a brief run through of what these segments are going to be, because in my first segment, where I reviewed Halloween 2, I just kind of ranted right into it. So it's pretty self-explanatory. In this segment, what I'd really like to do is just give the audience, you guys, like a really nutshell summary of what the movie's about, because let's face it, you're not going to come watch me just to hear me rehash what the movie's about, because you can just go on any website and read what it's about, or just go to the movies yourself and understand what it's about. So I just want to give you guys a really brief nutshell version of what the film's about, and the rest of the film, for the rest of the video that I'm going to conduct, I'd really just like to talk about my views, my likes and dislikes with it, technical aspects and what have you. So that being out of the way, I just want to keep on reminding you guys that if you guys haven't seen the movie, these at the movie segments are going to be pretty spoiler savvy. So I just want to let everyone be forewarned about that. So here we go. I saw Taking Woodstock tonight, as I said, directed by Ang Lee, who is probably most well known for directing 2005's Brokeback Mountain, in addition to The Ice Storm, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and the very dismal 2003 Hulk. That said, in this film, what it deals with is, roughly, it deals with a young man who's working at his parents' motel up in the Catskills, and he sets in motion one of the greatest musical events of all time, if not the greatest of all time, that being Woodstock. So, that said, I was actually really excited for this movie. I had heard about it for quite a while, so I had been looking forward to it for quite some time. I really enjoyed Ang Lee's work in Brokeback Mountain. I've always been pretty fond of The Ice Storm. So, I was really looking forward to this film, and I've always enjoyed Ang's style. Since he is, in all of his films, he really takes each of his films in a different area of the world. As you can see, that of The Ice Storm being in, deep in the suburbs in the wintertime, and Brokeback Mountain being, a very Western film, out in, really secluded area, and of course dealing with the whole gay relationship, and that just all of his films are very unique in its setting and its story. So he's really a chameleon with his directing choices. So Taking Woodstock was also, being that once he signed on for Taking Woodstock, I was equally excited and surprised to see him tackling such a difficult such a difficult topic, because I just feel like there's so much history to that event that it's almost, the story that you're going to be focusing your film on has to be pretty interesting, because there's just so many things that happen during those 3 days, and so many different stories that you can pick. So it's really just a matter of which one to do it on. For what Ang did, he adapted a book, and the book that became Taking Woodstock. So, my thoughts on the film after seeing it, I have to say that I felt that it was pretty bland. I wasn't really connecting with it. I mean, I have to say that the lead character of Elliot Teachberg, lead character Elliot is played by Dimitri Martin, and I have to say I wasn't really, and I don't really blame this on Dimitri Martin. I just feel like it had to possibly do with the script or something, but his character was, frankly, he was rather boring. I don't think that he really, from the second you see him until the end, he's a really ordinary character. So the extraordinary thing that's changing in his life is that he is setting, in motion, the stepping stones for this epic concert that is Woodstock to happen in his town. And I can accept that that's the event that he's going to do to make his life from ordinary to extraordinary, and change himself in the process. But I just didn't really see that come through in the film. I just thought that he didn't really evolve too much. As I said, he was pretty bland, so I wasn't really connecting a whole lot with him. That said, the supporting cast in this I found were much more interesting than Dimitri Martin. You have a really great all-star cast of Emile Hirsch, Eugene Levy, great performance by Liev Schreiber, and a cameo performance by Paul Dano, as many of you might recall from There Will Be Blood. So I found the supporting cast much more interesting. Anytime they came on the scene, came on the screen, I was much more focused on them and really wanted to see more of them because they just struck me as much more unique and fun characters to see on the screen as opposed to Dimitri Martin's character. So I just didn't really enjoy it, and as much as that the film is about this character that is setting the stepping stones and putting this concert in motion for his town, like I said, I just found it really uninteresting from that perspective, and as much as the film relies on that. The film is called Taking Woodstock, so it's dealing with the concert of Woodstock. So one would think that you would be seeing a lot of concert footage and seeing possibly the musicians perform, whether they would be using stock footage or stand-ins or what have you. You'd expect to see a lot of that. You actually don't see any of it. Dimitri Martin's character is trying to get to it while he's working at his parents' motel, but he keeps meeting interesting people along the way, so by the time he actually makes it to the stage, it's on at the end of day 3, and the concert is already being cleaned up, and all the audience has already cleared out. So it was actually really disappointing to not see that, because I really thought that you were going to get in the spirit of right at the stage and seeing these people perform. So that, I have to say, was most likely the biggest disappointment about the film, is that you didn't really get, the vibes of the great music, the peace and the music that was going on. I mean, you certainly get a sense of the peace that was going on amongst all the hippies and the characters that are, coming in and out of each scene and what have you, but, just the entire lack of the music and the performers were, it was a little disheartening to not see that stuff. That said, I'd like to say that the way that Ang shot this was pretty, was pretty fun and unique. The setting, of course, is up in the Catskills, and I used to have family up in the Catskills, so I personally know how, dismal and secluded and lonely that place is. So I think Ang, in that sense, really captured that. So once all the hippies in Woodstock comes to town, it is like a completely different movie at that point, because, before they come at that point in the film, you really just see this as a really lonely place where, I don't know, people just kind of, I guess, go to, go to die, more or less, because it's that lonely of a place. I mean, it's kind of very secluded, as I said. So, Ang did shoot it very reminiscent of the way that they shot a lot of the Woodstock documentaries that people have come to know, with a lot of split screens and multiple scenes going on across the screen. So that was interesting. I liked how he used that flavor in his film. But, overall, like I said, I just wasn't very impressed with this film. There was one particular scene that I found pretty interesting and actually really beautiful. It looked really beautiful, is when Paul Dano's character, a fellow female character, and Dimitri Martin are all band together in a VW van, and they are actually high on psychedelic drugs, and their trip is actually shot really beautifully, in the bright colors and just the feelings that they're feeling. That is probably the most well shot sequence in the whole film, and it was just really beautiful to look at. So that was really great. And interestingly enough, the score in this film was scored by my favorite composer, Danny Elfman. And being that he's my favorite, I was actually quite disappointed. I thought this was one of his weaker scores. You didn't really get a sense of the music. And like I said, you'd expect more music from the performers, but you didn't hear any of it in the soundtrack. And Elfman's score just wasn't really on par with much of his better works that people have come to love. So that's another aspect of the film that was disappointing. So, I mean, truly, that's all I have. I mean, as I said, I was very excited to see this. It certainly fell short of my expectations, but as always, I encourage people to see it and make up their own decisions about it. But like I said, Ang tried to once again do something unique, but fell flat. So I'd just like to thank everyone for tuning in again. So I'll see you guys next week with another Q review on Thursday. This is Frightener 22. Thanks, guys.